Well, hello and welcome people, the internet, back to some more Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde. Today we're going to be jumping in with Shakpana, who apparently likes to add damage over time to all your different weapons. Now, one of the things that I'm trying to figure out here, and we'll figure out once we jump in here, is the way that this is worded. I could interpret this as two different things. Because this says adds or increases damage over time for all starting abilities. So I'm assuming that what this means is that it is adding damage over time versus adding damage over time. Do you understand the difference between the two? So damage over time meaning like dots, right? Like poison, burn, these types of things I think of as dots, damage over time. Or is this adding damage, like flat damage to the skill over time, meaning like at 1 minute adds 1, 2 minutes at 2, 3 minutes at 3. That kind, I'm assuming it's the former, but we'll see. We're gonna jump into a shuriken today. And one of the things that I actually didn't realize was I noticed that I had unlocked at least one map. It looks like only one map, the Spine Dunes. I did not, for whatever reason, it just like skipped my mind that on the desert map, there are 3 different maps, or different missions, I suppose they are. Because I saw that I unlocked Spine Dunes, and I was looking, I was like, there's only one more. How do I unlock the one more? Well, Dingus, it's right here. So we're going to be getting some more runes, and this zone has some attributes, or it has some curses. So monsters' HP are going to increase 10% every 180 seconds. So looks like at the end of this, they're going to have an extra 50% health. So let's get her done. Let's go in there, and hopefully getting this done is going to help help us unlock some more stuff. I know I have to defeat these guys, which is going to give us another skill that we can play with, which I think is the last skill we actually have to unlock, which is something called Gin, which I'm hoping tastes better than the actual than the drink. But anyway, we do have a damage over time dot here, so the longer that we charge up our ultimate, the more damage over time it does. And I think here I'm just going to take... Screw it. We're going to take Bone Shot. You guys have sold me on it. It's real good. It's real powerful. Increased range, I don't really care about. I guess we could go... Do we go Tangle Vines? God, it's so weird that all the abilities that at first I was like, man, these suck, now are the ones that I want to go for. But hey, that's what we're doing here. Yeah, so if we launch off this special, this is going to do damage over time to everybody. Now, spears, I do actually... The reason I'm going to take spears here... I know I take spears a lot, and to be fair, I take kind of everything a lot. So spears does have an evolution, and I want to see how the evolution works. Because I have not tried evolution in this game yet. And so I'm curious, do you have to... You probably have to level up a weapon all the way to 20, I'm assuming. Although if I am going to work on that, I should probably focus on getting the spears. Okay, well, let's see if we can't find any of those super special chests and open them up to get some nice stuff. That being said, I don't want the size, so we're just going to go for crit chance on bone. But I do apologize if my voice is a little bit scratchy today, or I end up coughing at all. I'm not sick by any means. I would say that I am starting to get something. I think I mentioned it in another video I recorded today that a friend at work spent a bunch of time talking to me in my office yesterday, and after like 10 or 15 minutes he's like, hey, so I'm gonna go because I'm kind of not feeling well. I was like, really, dude, you're sick? I'm like, I'm about to go on vacation and now you're gonna tell me that you're sick? Great. And of course, I don't get sick very often, but of course today it's like starting to pick up. That being said, I don't feel like super sick or anything. I just woke up and I noticed my throat was a little scratchy, my nose was a little stuffy, and I have been recording here for like 6 hours. So, yeah, and if you've ever talked for 6 hours straight, it's no joke. It can really mess up your throat. You don't think about it. I almost feel like you know, I should have that drink that Andy Serkis drank when he was doing Gollum for Lord of the Rings. I think, oh, what was it? It was like honey and lemon, honey lemon tea, but there was something else. There was something weird in it. You know, it wasn't just like normal tea with honey. There was something else in it that he drank that was like a, you know, like a super secret remedy, and he was just like chugging that down the whole time he was on set. If you guys know or remember, I'm pretty sure that they talked about it in the extended cut documentary that you can watch. I just don't remember what it was, which I should know. I've watched those documentaries so many times. Those documentaries are like basically as good as the movies actually are, and the movies are I won't choose. If you ask me to choose, I won't, which is my favorite. I will tell you that it's nope, I won't tell you anything. They're easily my top movies of all time. I watch them probably, I don't know, three times a year. The extended cuts, probably, if I had to guess. But the documentary I don't watch as often. I watch maybe once every, I don't know, once every 2 years, perhaps. Just because it's so much longer. What do we want here? Let's go for Crit Chance of the Bone. There's so much longer. I mean, for each movie, it's what, like 10 hours, I think? It might even be longer than that. I also don't have my Blu-rays anymore. So I'm sure that I could find them somewhere online. But because I don't have my Blu-rays anymore, I can't watch them as easily as I used to. But there's just like those are the most in-depth behind the scenes that I think I have ever seen. And the amount of work, the amount of effort, the amount of love that went into making those movies as good as they were is absolutely absurd. And you look at movies now and what they're trying to do, and it's just like not even close. They're just pump and dump movies or TV shows. Right? Let's spend $1 billion on the show of a franchise that people love. They'll eat it right up. It's like, yeah, but you just spent $1 billion on slop. You know? It's like you can spend $1 billion on slop and I'm still not gonna eat it. It's still gross. Let's grab Scoop and let's grab Maxon. Yeah, so if I go into here... Yeah, so it doesn't show me any kind of... Oh, mod level requirements. Okay, so we get this to level 10 and we can mod it and we get this to 13. Okay, cool. So we don't have to go all the way. But that's interesting, though, that there are different level requirements for the mods. I guess that's... well, I guess it's maybe different than Evolution, then? Although it's probably technically the same thing. Okay, yeah, we got to get out of this dune. I do still want my friend, though. Dot damage increased. Hoodoo you do? Hoodoo voodoo. What do we get in here? We can get a bunch of experience. 185. Can't spend anything else. Okay. Take the experience. Increase damage. Increase numbers, so that way we hit more things. Keep making the vines as big as possible. Okay, what are we getting? Dot damage is now increased by +7, or base damage is now increased. Let's actually get Hardy. Hardy's busted in half. Hardy's absolutely cracked. Yeah, splinters. Okay, I mean, that's super easy to unlock. So what does splinters actually do? Oh, I see. Okay, so it shoots out quad splinters. Oh, okay, I see how it works. So it's really not like it's a whole nother weapon. It just kind of adds one other thing that we can adjust on the weapon. Okay, what do we want here? Let's just keep going cooldown. Let's just make this thing crazy fast. Same thing with spears. I want to get these things firing off as fast as I can. 3 seconds is pretty slow. I just wish, you know what I would really love to see? It will never, ever, ever happen, right? There are certain things that people say will never happen. Like, oh, you'll never win the lottery. Oh, you'll never, you know, you'll never live to be 150, right? There's things that people say will never happen, but this, I think, is like an order of magnitude higher in terms of things that will never happen. Like those couple things that I mentioned, I think are much more likely to happen than what I'm about to say that I wish would happen. And that is, I would like to have a Lord of the Rings quality, right? Not like Rings of Power quality, not Hobbit level quality. I'm talking Peter Jackson in his prime, Lord of the Rings quality, everybody working, you know, for 3 years building suits of armor to make it look as realistic as possible. I'm talking that level of quality. Television show. Because it can't be a movie, because if you do it movies, you're gonna spend, you know, it's gonna be an MCU level amount of movies. Version of the Silmarillion. Because if I'm being honest, there's no way that even if I tried to read those books, I wouldn't understand it. I don't do Old English well at all. Right? Like Beowulf was a story that I always wanted to read in school, and then as soon as I got the book as part of, you know, as part of an assignment, and I read like the first page, it was like, yeah, this is not what I want. Like, I'm not going to understand anything that's going on. And so that's why I need like a television show to like show, and I want to see it. There's got to be a lot of cool stuff in that. But it will never, ever happen. There's just, it's not possible. We are more likely to explore the very edge of space than we are to make a good version of the Silmarillion. It just will never happen. But I would love for it to happen. It just won't. Unfortunately, the way things are done now, there's just like, there's no shot that any studio is going to actually put forth the time and effort to pay for like all that stuff to be done. And then you're going to put all kinds of like woke crap in it and just like change the story. And it's going to be like, oh, well, Eru Ilvatar, or what is it? You know, the god of the world, he actually, I don't even know how you could possibly mess that up. He made the world, he made Arda because, you know, he felt bad for the orcs because this orc had a sad family. And so he decided to make it in the image of the orcs, and actually everyone else is evil, and the orcs are actually good. And it's like, you can shut your mouth right now. Morgoth was trying to do the right thing, but the elves just didn't really understand what he was trying to do, and so shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Evil is evil. You know, I feel like something like that would happen, and it would just ruin it. Oh, but Sauron, he didn't make the rings to control people and be evil. He just made the rings because he wanted to be friends with everybody, and then they just misunderstood what he was trying to do, and they thought he was trying to be evil, but he really just wanted a close friend. Like, get out of here. You shut up. Oh, Sauron and Galadriel really loved each other. We're gonna ship them. Shut your mouth. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Anyone out there feel the same way? It's been 20 years, man. 20 years since, actually it's been more than 20 years. Holy Christ, I'm an old man. It's been over 20 years. 24 years. No. First Fellowship came out in 2001. 23 years? That's nuts, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you watch them today and they still look better than most movies that come out nowadays. That's an interesting worm. He's got a little cup on his head. There's got to be a pun there, right? There's got to be a pun that I'm missing. Butler worm? Servant worm? Worm-tastic. Nope, I don't know. I know Worm Tongue. That guy's from Lord of the Rings. The thing is, though, even if you could do a show on about the Silmarillion, it still wouldn't be the like original story, right? Because I'll be honest, I have not read the Lord of the Rings books. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the lore. It's just that the books are, first of all, way too long, and like I said before, I just don't really comprehend the Old English very well. It's just one of those skills that I never really learned to do. And so there's a lot of things that what my knowledge is of Lord of the Rings, because it's based on the movies, is not technically accurate to the lore of Lord of the Rings. You know, so, but I do know some of the differences, right? Like, for example, I know that Sam and Frodo never actually went to Osgiliath. And a lot of the things in the movies are in a completely different order, and also different books. Like, I know that Sam and Frodo were in Cirith Ungol at the end of, I think, the Two Towers book, whereas it was at the end of Return of the King that they were there in the movies. I know that, like, the Witch King never actually destroyed Gandalf's staff, which is stupid considering the power scaling difference between the two beings. It's like if an angel of God came down from the sky and, like, I don't know, what's his name? And like Brian Shaw snapped the angel's like staff. And it's like, broski, that's never gonna happen. The power scaling is so much different between these two beings. What else didn't happen as it did in the movies? From what I don't think that Frodo actually, I don't think Frodo actually pushed Gollum into Mount Doom. I think he just tripped in. I think that's the case. So there's some stuff that was changed to make it more more compelling for on-screen purposes, which I can understand, right? Certain things like ending books in certain places, is not going to make as much sense as ending a movie, because you got to follow a certain formula when you're making movies to some extent. So I'm going to be honest. We have the spear cage. What does the spear cage do other than just change the area of the spikes to a circle? Does it do any... Oh, I guess it makes it so that enemies run into... Got it. Okay. So it makes it so enemies run into it. So I was going to say, isn't it technically just better to have the spears target enemies? Oh, I was stuck on a tree. Well, that's not great. All right, boss goes down. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this Lord of the Rings talk. my Lord of the Rings TED talk here. Man, you get me going on a tangent. I could talk about Lord of the Rings all day, man. It's just so good. I know we didn't talk about the game at all, but for the most part, until we start getting a lot more things like mods and stuff, this game is quite linear in how it plays out, right? You can take different upgrades, but for the most part, I'm just kind of like choosing what I think is good. There's not a lot of like, so for example, I'm trying to get my thoughts wrapped around on this because I'm wondering. So I like this game well enough, but I'm wondering if it is worth let me know if you guys are interested in continuing this run between this and art, because like I think I really enjoy having two games that I can do consistently, and basically my schedule is kind of like so I have like a 9 o'clock drop and I have a 3 o'clock drop, right? And my 9 o'clock is typically I've been doing games that are recurring, so I've been going off and on between Spirit Hunters and Army of Ruin. And then in the afternoon slot, I'm dropping a video of like a new release. So you kind of get like one continuing video a day and then one new video a day. And between the two that are currently going on, I feel for me personally, I have a lot more fun playing Army of Ruin. And I'm guessing that you guys do too, just because those videos are tending to do a little bit better than this one. And I think a lot of that has to do with the actual building aspect of our Army of Ruin. I think is a little bit stronger than this one. I was very excited about the skill tree on this one. But from what I'm seeing, the excitement of the skill tree is starting to wear off a little bit. And what I'm noticing is that the actual gameplay of Spirit Hunters is starting to get a bit repetitive for me. Just because if you look at the builds of Army of Ruin, for example, and I'm obviously there's going to be some differences between the two. I'm just comparing because they're the two I'm playing at the moment. So Army of Ruin, you have a ton of different weapons as opposed to like the 12 in this game. A ton of different weapons, ton of different trinkets too. So you have two different ways to change your build around, so, right? So you have those different synergies matching your weapons to your trinkets, but you also have with the evolutions, you also have elements tied to each of the weapons and the trinkets, and so you need to match those up. So even though you might want a trinket because you think it works well with your kit, you might not be able to take it because if you do, you're not going to have the correct elements in order to evolve your weapons. And so that one is a little bit, it's a less interesting in actually building up your skills, right? Because each level is guaranteed. So each weapon and each trinket only has 5 levels, and each one is set. So when you go from level 1 to 2 of a certain weapon, the stat changes are always going to be the same. Whereas in Spirit Hunters, obviously the gameplay and build is how you make your weapons stronger. And to a certain extent, it's kind of felt like just go for like cooldown and damage is the way to go, and then you kind of just cruise through it. It doesn't seem like right now there's necessarily a lot of reason to go into like size, for example, which is something that I'm kind of learning over time. And so I'm curious if this is one that you would like to continue on doing, or if there is another Bullet Heaven that we could potentially do. Honestly, I've been trying to do it for a while, and I think it might be time to just jump into Death Must Die. The thing about Death Must Die, though, is that the runs are much longer. That's the only thing that's kind of holding me off from it. Things like Spirit Hunters and Army of Ruin were great because if I need to just do, like, if I don't have enough time to do, like, a whole bunch of runs, I can jump in and do a run in, like, 20 minutes, and then that I think, depending on what you guys think, I'm not sure whether you prefer the shorter videos or the longer videos. I've kind of been sticking closer to like around 40 minutes, I think, versus like a month or two ago where I was doing more consistently an hour-long video. But I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling. If you've made it this far, you're probably one of my viewers who tends to watch more of my stuff than opposed to just, you know, watching the first 5-10 minutes and then jumps out. So if you've made it this far, I'm very curious to hear kind of what your thoughts are. This is just something I've been trying out over the past couple of weeks, is to have more recurring slots. I've had a couple recurring games in the past, but I've kind of been looking for another one. So recently it really has been, and we went through Steam Next Fest and Bullet Fest too. So those events are obviously going to change things around a little bit. But it's been a little while since we had any like recurring games. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I think Army of Ruin is definitely going to stay. I really like playing that one. I'm having a lot of fun with that one. The builds are very fun. There's a lot of unlocks to go, and all the other unlocks, they do drastically change how the game plays with a lot of different features, different characters, and all the different weapons and stuff. And so I'm just everything I said. Let me know your overall thoughts and kind of what you would like to see in the future, because of course I am making content for you guys. So if you have a Bullet Heaven, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be a Bullet Heaven, but if you have a game that you'd like to see maybe we do a longer run of, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just be keeping my eye out for stuff, and if something catches my eye, or, you know, if we just check out a game in a 3 o'clock slot and it really ticks well, maybe we continue on with that. But those are just some of my, my thoughts and ramblings about what I'd like to do on this channel. But guys, if you made it this far and you had some fun with me today, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more roguelite action. I've been Ganyonz. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.